Our next speaker is Mariana Rekrutiak. She is a fashion stylist from Ukraine, and she is going to speak about sustainable fashion. Is it hype, or is it a new way to manage your fashion brand? Over to you, Marianne.
Hi, girls. Hello, ladies.
Hello, hello. Welcome. Good to see you. Where are you? Where are you?
Honestly, I'm in Bali right now, and it's late. It's raining.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. And yeah, it's raining. The internet is not very stable, but yeah, please bear with us, guys. And yeah, Marianne, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience and talk about sustainable fashion?
Yeah, sure. Nice to meet you all. It's really interesting experience to take part in online conferences. It's so exciting always. Always exciting to meet new people and find out something new. I had a huge experience in the fashion. I started probably around 13 years old as a model and as a designer in the same time. So I was designing clothing for myself. And later, when I've been in Kyiv, in the capital city of Ukraine, I used to work in one of the biggest model agencies of Kyiv as a model. So I've been in Ukrainian Fashion Week, Poland Fashion Week, Dubai Fashion Week. Also, later I used to work with the agencies all over the world, including like Milan, America, Turkey, India. And then I used to work in production studio with Indian companies. They basically come into Kyiv to create a content like for social media or like content for their websites, depend on what they need, because Kyiv it's a kind of interesting location. We have a different kind of architecture inside, and you can create any visual what you want. And for the last 4 years, I basically dive in deeper in sustainable fashion. I remember the period when it was a shift from my mindset, I just want to work in a fashion, to I want to do something really valuable. There was a meeting with a professor from European Institute of Design, and basically he was talking about sustainability. It was back in 2018, I believe, or something like that. And word sustainable wasn't really hype. It just was something, what does that really mean? And the information what he shared with us was really, how to explain it, shocking, honestly. When you start analyzing all the data what we have around the fashion, it's even crazy to understand how it's even possible. So, for example, fashion industry is one of the biggest industry which harming the nature right now. It's like a top 5 industries because it's the main problem, we overusing resources. We're basically overusing resources of the planet like more than 2.5 times already. It's like information from 2019. But in fashion industry, there's a huge amount of water which using for producing cotton, for producing other kinds of fabric, then for coloring, as well soil, the probably like resources for creating fabrics. For example, I think like a cotton. We all love cotton, but it's like most harmful, honestly, fabric in the world. Only in case if it's organic cotton. Right now it's a huge shift to sustainable way of producing it, and it's less harmful for human health and for planet as well. Also, there's like another thing, it's deforestation, because all over the world very useful fabric, it's viscose, and it's made of trees. And it sometimes it's really hard to track what kind of trees the production using for producing that fabric. In China, for example, you easily can check what colors will be trending in the next season or like 1 year ahead, when they start in the coloring fabric, because all that water which include that harmful coloring, they just throw it away in the rivers. And if you can if you will Google like Guangzhou or other big cities which known as the producers of fabric and clothing, you will see the pictures when the river has like red color, green color, etc. Another thing is overconsumption and overproduction, because the problem with overproduction, that not all brands, especially fast fashion brands, they really precisely calculating how much stuff clients, consumers going to buy. So they producing as much they want to earn, and in the end of the cycle, that stuff is going just for landfill. And overconsumption as well, another problem, because people buying usually clothing with a very low quality. So they going to buy something cheap because they're thinking it's real, it's nice for their pocket. But the real statistic is buy less, it will more. Because if you spending money for something really with high quality, that product will serve you, I don't know, 5, 10 times more, which honestly, this is a sustainable approach to the fashion. And the real price of clothing, what you wearing, it's not the price what you spend on the cash desk. It's honestly that time what you wearing that stuff, like you dividing your money to the all overage period when you was wearing that stuff. And in this way, you will find out real value uh, of that dress or whatever. Because if it's fast fashion and you will like throw it out after 2 3 washing, so basically you can calculate that that t-shirt or whatever costs you even more than nice t-shirt with a good quality, which in the beginning cost like 2 or 3 times more. But the people, they really don't think about it. And the problem with overconsumption is also like a lack of education of consumers, because they don't know that small specific things which usually more available for people who is inside the industry, like stylists, for example, or producers of that clothing or fabric, whatever. uh, so it's like basically right now we're facing a huge problem in the fashion industry, and it's not only in fashion industry. And we have to solve it. And honestly, there's a lot of things which can help to solve that stuff. And basically, what is sustainable fashion is? Sustainable fashion is its approach to the fashion when creators, they are taking care of their consumers instead of them. They're taking care of environment. They basically in the beginning creating things which will be more friendly for the environment. They will use less water, less electricity, the less carbon imprint, and a lot of small points which can be counted as their as explanation of sustainable fashion or sustainable fashion brand. Oh, nice. So it's like this, and sustainable fashion, it's a complex way of observing and creating your brand. It's not only about fabric, it's about everything. It's about producing, it's about the right management, it's about consumers' behavior. It's even about education of consumers and education of your employees. Also, as well, the one of the biggest problem of sustainable fashion, it's a low a l- low level of payments for the people who is working in the fashion industry, especially those one who is really working for huge corporations like H&M, Manga. I don't know how unknown you in the fashion industry, but basically that the tipping point which created the whole sustainable fashion movement started in 2013 from the huge collapsing of one of the biggest production factories in Bangladesh, the name of that factory was Rana Plaza. And the first person who started to talk about that was Stella McCartney. She was basically she is the pioneer of sustainable fashion in the fashion world and all over the world, because that values what she imprint in her brand since the beginning. It was like a eco-friendly, vegan-friendly, and she taking care of everything. And she right now she's ambassador of sustainable fashion. She's one of the juries of a lot of different kinds of sustainable fashion enterprises, which looking for startups for creating new ways of fabrics or how to make the fashion more sustainable. And she also working with, for example, she was the latest what she made. She was on the summit J8 when she was talking about sustainable fashion with leaders of all countries, basically all over the world. And yeah, and it's amazing. So I think I described like briefly the main problems of the sustainable fashion, but I want to tell you that it's not such difficult nowadays to create a sustainable brand, and I want to give some solutions how you can create sustainable brand or how you can be more sustainable. So the number one thing I think which will be like a future of fashion in the next few 5 or more years, it's new types of fabric. Right now, the fabrics which you can find in fashion is they basically created an in between the fashion and um, biology. So a lot of laboratory grown fabric right now already exists on the market. The most common thing is vegan leather, the real vegan leather, and the real sustainable vegan leather. That's one which is biodegradable. There's a lot of cases on the market with the leather made of mycelium. I, if you don't know what is mycelium, it's basically like fungus, a certain type of mushrooms, what they grow in a certain environment, and then from that mushroom they creating the vegan leather. For example, in Indonesia, there's this the company. Its name is Bell Society, and they produce in the vegan leather created from the mushrooms. And they already presented it in a few exhibition all over the world, and they work in Indonesia. So you can order it if in Indonesia. It will come very easy and like 3 4 days. If you based in different spots on the planet, you should check how long it will go to you. Also, another sustainable options of the vegan leather, it's the leather which was produced from the apple skin. And from that leather, I think the brand name is Vigia. They already created sneakers. So that leather is really useful, and they created the brand for like a daily wearing shoes. And it's nice, it's useful, and it exists on the market at least like 2 or 3 years. And they position themselves like as just as a cool brand of sneakers. There probably you heard about Pineatex. It's a vegan leather made of pine. It's also kind of affordable in the market. I don't remember the country for sure, but I think it's Spain. And right now you can find the bags from this leather or shoes. You can go directly to the companies which produce in the certain type of fabric or leather, and usually they have all information about their biggest customers. So you can easily find what kind of brand you can find in your country, or you can order to the internet and buy absolutely sustainable pair of shoes, absolutely sustainable and vegan, I don't know, bag or wallet for yourself. And it's really amazing. Another group of fabrics, it's a huge holding from Austria. It's the name of company, it's Lantic, and their official brand name of their fabric, it's Tam Tencel. Basically, it's a fabric which is very similar to the viscose, but the main difference between the classical viscose and viscose from this particular factory, that they made it from eucalyptus trees, which they sustainably grow. So it's like a fallen trees, or they just planting new trees instead of the trees which should be removed from the forest, and they loop in the system of like keeping forests alive. They also has a program which help with deforestation, so they planting more than they cut it, and the whole factory has a circle system, like a loop system. So they're using certain type of um, source for creating a fabric, and all leftovers again going inside of the loop for creating more fabric. So basically there is no waste. They also using very innovative technology for coloring, and the all water also is in a closed loop. So basically this company, it's like the perfect example of even not only sustainable factory, it's more about circular technology of producing fabric. And they have a very wide grade of fabrics like silk, like fabric, knitted fabric, which can be used for t-shirts, regular fabric, which looks like cotton, or like a classical viscose, which we used to see. They also have a denim line, which I never touched the denim line, but on the pictures you can really see that basically no difference between the denim, how we used to see it, and that denim what they producing. But it's way more sustainable than the classical denim, especially if the cotton was grows in the classic way. What else? Also, there's like a lot of startups which are trying to create really biodegradable fabrics which can be composted in the cities, and their life circle will end up basically in your garden or whatever, and that stuff will also serving for creating new, like supporting new plants, and I don't remember. It's just like they launched a few years ago, and probably soon that it will be possible to buy that fabric. Another way, and it's also future, it's like a 3D printing. So there's like a huge cluster of designers who is creating the way how to print your clothing. And some company, they already was successful with creating the shoes. So basically, you can print your shoes. You just given your parameters and you print it in 3D printing. What this kind of production can give us, it's basically zero waste, because you using just that amount of resources what's need for producing the certain piece of clothing, yeah, a certain item, and it's amazing. um, Also, another kind of thing, it's algae, the fabric which can be created from algae. It's also the way of creating the plastic, and how it can be useful in fashion industry. That type of fabric can be used like a waterproof fabric, and it exists already like a few startups who is working on that. And one lady, she already created waterproof biodegradable raincoats from that kind of fabric, and yeah, it's amazing. Another type of like alternative, the wave in fashion, it's digital fashion, and it has a lot of different manifestations right now. It's like maybe you heard about Project X Dress. It was created by Daria Shapovalova, but I believe she is not the only one. But probably there was like the one of the first ones on the market. They basically created digital clothing, what you can buy on their platform, and then you can use it during the shootings. It's very useful, for example, for bloggers. So they spend in less money and they can have really unique piece of clothing, which they can use just once, and easily to buy on the website and easily to basically put into your photo and publish that photo all over social media. And it's new project. It's like 2 or 3 years maybe right now, and there's a lot more projects like that. Um, Another step, like in digital fashion, probably you already heard, it's digital models. Um, there was like a wave when the digital models, when they just arrived on the market, probably it was like 2018, 2019. Some of them was even on the covers of the magazines. And basically when you searching them in Instagram, it's really difficult to understand, uh, is it real person or it's not a real person, like a simulation. And honestly, the creation of digital model, it's kind of difficult one. It more looks like creating of some super expensive movie in America, when they're using computer graphic to create the body, then they fit the clothing, and that kind of stuff. It can save the planet because you don't need to produce the real clothing. You just can do everything on the computer. But basically, for nowadays, to creating the digital campaign with the digital models, which will cost you more money, neither to hire the real models and create the regular photo shoot. Another line in the digital fashion, it's using certain digital programs for creating clothing. So basically one of the programs, it's a Claw, and it's already using for some of big companies who are creating clothes like Uniqlo, and I don't remember the whole list, but it's a very affordable app, something like a graphic design app, and basically you creating the certain type of clothing, and that program helping you to create the patterns. So you don't need a long time of fittings, etc., etc. The computer can do everything for you. And there's, for a fashion designer in this case, just exists two ways. Either you learning how this program work and you're doing by yourself, or you're finding someone who already know how that program works and you're just paying money. And it's really useful. You can see how your final product will looks like. If the person is really skilled, it looks like some real product from the real world material, not the digital one. And the patterns is super accurate, which gives you opportunity to create basically the most interesting variation of the form with no waste. and and you even can present your collection even before the production stage, because you already have all created completely outfits in your capsule collection or in your all collection. And a lot of brands right now as well, it's like the next level of digital. They're using like digital fashion shows. They either creating the digital models who's presenting the fashion shows, or they basically hiring the models, making videos, and then on the computer they dressing them up in their collection, and they publishing it. And another advantages of the digital fashion, that you can present your collection, then you're just collecting the orders from your customers, and you basically producing exact the same amount of orders what your clients made. So it's also like one of the way of zero waste approach in sustainable fashion. Yeah. Do you have a questions? Because I kind of can talk about this stuff like for hours.
Yeah, Marianne, that was great. You gave us a lot of information, very particular one as well. That's very interesting. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Tell us about your passion project. Do you have one, or you're so passionate about the sustainable fashion? Are you developing anything in this direction yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of creating the small collection here in
You
Bali.
muted.
I'm muted. Oh, can you hear me now? No? It's funny. No, I see like I'm fine. Can you hear me now? Okay. So I'm creating like a small capsule collection right now, basically like a female wardrobe, the small one. I have like one outfit, like basically one model to variation, and I would love to work with just if create something, create just sustainable. So it can be either linen or organic cotton or tencel, which are possible to find here in Indonesia as well, because the Lancet is a huge factory and they have like official representatives all over the world, and you can easily find them through their website, and you just can contact the particular seller and you can order fabric from them. And also here in Indonesia, it's very easy to use the natural dyeing because basically batik, it's a UNESCO heritage right now, and Indonesia was known as a country which really skilled in this. And I have like a few contacts of people who's doing natural dyeing here. It can be like with some patterns or just plain dyeing. And yeah, I would love to try that as well in my collection. And basically, I'm passionate in general about sustainable fashion, and I have a lot of contacts back in Ukraine. One of my best friends, she's like sustainable fashion ambassador. She was a PR manager of Ukrainian Fashion Week, and she basically was the first one who brought the whole panel of speakers about sustainable fashion. Right now, she's going to Dubai Expo talking about sustainable fashion there. So yeah. Do you have more questions?
Yeah, are you planning to speak about that as well more?
About sustainable fashion or about like
Yeah, about that, because it seems like it's really your thing. So I'm just wondering, are you just creating your line, your small line, or you have any perspectives of bringing sustainable fashion to a public?
I think it's bringing it to the public. It's more interesting than creating the own brand, especially right now. There's a lot of brands, but basically creating a brand is something more what I really love to do because I'm in fashion from 13, and that's what I'm doing through all my life. So it, when you're creating, you can't stop. And I think it's nice to bring sustainable fashion to the public, and also it's nice to bring it to the consumer, because in the end of the day, if consumer making their choice for sustainable fashion, they are supporting the brands who is working in that, and if they don't understand what they're buying, it will take a longer time to make that shift, because right now it's already a lot of brands and it's difficult to make them all sustainable overnight, you know like that. And yeah, in Ukraine, for example, I was a part of that project. We have a project which calling Capsula. It's online e-commerce, and we was creating the capsule wardrobes for the client. And this is also sustainable approach when person knows which clothing match to which clothing, and basically with like a 12 items including some accessorized shoes and bag, you have like a full wardrobe which can be which can fit almost all your needs. Like you go for work, you're wearing this, then in the evening you go in with your friends to have a cocktail, a dinner party, you just wearing your accessories and you look fabulous, you're ready for the evening. And it's amazing and it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your interesting talk. If anyone has questions, I don't have any questions in the chat.
I have a question.
Okay, Chris, yes.
Hi, it's Chris. My background's in architectural design, and I'm aware of computer-aided design can translate into computer-aided machines and 3D printing. So you can have a tangible physical model from the digital design, so to speak. Is that a big movement within the fashion industry? where they're able to actually physically print the digital design and use an organic matter.
I can tell you already one that's a super successful case from Ukraine. I remind myself. The name of the brand is Colin Ochis. Those guys, they producing sunglasses and the glass frames for the regular glasses from coffee. So they're using the coffee from the coffee machines and they printing that stuff on 3D printer.
Awesome.
And it's already a successful case. It exists like for now, probably like 3 years or something like that on the market. It was created in collaboration. I think it's called in Fab Lab, something like that. It's 3D printing laboratories all over the world. And luckily we had one in Ukraine. We still have it. And those brand, they just make a collaboration with those printing laboratory and they created this amazing product.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there any inroads in the actual material? Clothes?
Clothes, I know there's Danit Pelek and she using, I'm not sure about biodegradable, but she using some kind of maybe polymer for printing her clothing, and her brand is already like 5 or 6 years on the market. And her thing that she has an idea to create the portable 3D printer, what you can have in your house, and you just downloading the image and you printing that stuff in your house and you wear it. About biodegradable fabric, it also exists in case, but I don't remember the name of the case. I will ask my friend. She made made a speech about that product as well, like 2 years ago. So yeah, it also exists. Oh, and yeah, I forgot. There is the Vajengen Institute, I think in Denmark. The agricultural in like university, and they created the program to connect the designers with the people from agriculture to create that how to call it, coherence between the fashion and design in general and the agriculture. It means like how to use some products which can be like a waste or they biodegradable in the beginning to create some fashion, to create the design. And they also have like a whole course about the materials in circular fashion. And there also was a case when some person printed something on the 3D printer. And another source, basically, the material which can be used for 3D printing, it's mycelium. You can Google, it's already existing startup. I don't remember the name of the project, but if you will Google it, or probably they even have a video in YouTube, and there a person is making some furniture. And they using mycelium and they printing tables, they printing some chairs, they also printing some stuff to fill the boxes when you're transporting some stuff from one country to another country to make it not so fragile. Yeah, like mycelium is one of the most useful things right now.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. It makes for an exciting future. I know quite a bit about mycelium, but probably from a different angle, because in buildings, mycelium is not good. It's dry fungus, dry rot fungus. It eats buildings, so obviously it's a different type of fungus that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's more like, not, maybe I used the wrong term when I called it like a fungus. It's more about mycelium, you know, like a mushroom roots.
Yes.
And other stuff, and they producing and then they drying it, and I don't know, maybe they're using something to like make it stronger or something like that, some biochemicals, who knows.
Something innovative.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. It's amazing.
You're welcome.
Would be great if you drop these names in the chat so we know these brands, and maybe Chris, if he is interested, he can look them up. Thank you so much for your presentation. Really great. We have so many amazing people here in Bali, and we're ready for our next speaker. Thank you, Marian.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. Bye.